What's up, Trekkies? Hi, so the first part is just going to be kind of me explaining two things that came out on the news today, and then the next part is going to be, I don't really want to say ranty, but there might be some angst spewing out of my face. The first part is there's going to be a ground queue, thankfully. Not that I'm necessarily fond of ground queues, but I know a lot of people are, that it will give you temporal marks. The first part of this says, I never thought I'd be mining rocks with a bunch of lizard people on a planet created of thin air by a group of godlike alien. I read about how the original Federation colony on Cestus 3 was wiped out by the Gorn, so I wasn't too thrilled when I was assigned to Edrin 4 as part of the Joint Federation Gorn mining operation. Sure, we're technically at peace with them now. Captain Kirk and the Enterprise somehow managed to broker a peace treaty between the Gorn hegemony. But I still wonder how long that peace will last with such a, literally, cold-blooded race. There's a thing down at the bottom that says minor instabilities is a new PvE queue available for level 61 plus, which I know I haven't been paying much attention to the numbers lately, but I think we're at level 60. So the next part is probably something that they're doing because it's literally like been 6 years. And it's called The Story So Far, Part 1. And basically it talks about the Klingon Federation little war that was going on. You know, Romulus has already been destroyed, and there was, you know, and it basically led to, talked about the Borg and all this stuff. It just talks about all this various stuff. I'm not sure how many parts this is going to be. It does have the tags for STO, PlayStation, STO, Xbox at the bottom, so it's probably here so that it'll have it as an archive so people can read up in case they're just starting Star Trek Online on the consoles. So, but if you guys want to read through it, link below, and in successive weeks I'll say if they put out part 2, part 3, part 4, all that jazz. Now the thing I kind of want to get into, and this doesn't require me looking up any information because I've memorized how to do this stuff. So, what I want to get into is our 2 space queues that came in with the expansion. Completely aware this has been 2 weeks now since it came out. The problem is, it has been 2 weeks, and there are still people coming in there and they're like, what do I do? I'm like, I understand that people started back and leveled a temporal operative all the way up and are basically now like trying to get used to what it's like to be level cap with a decent ship. And they may not remember necessarily how to do instances. However, I can't think that there are that many people. I have run the Battle of Procyon 5, sometimes twice a day, but at least every day for the last week and a half. My computer went all wicked. And I've also ran Days of Doom. Only yesterday, right in the middle of Days of Doom, did my computer just fritz out and crash. But I've been running it once or twice just so I can get the idea of how this goes and the timing on everything. Now these are the easy queues that I'm doing. I'm not doing advanced or elite. If the normal queues are saying anything, I don't even want to try random queuing into advanced or elite. Anyways, so I just kind of want to go over how this works, basically. With the Battle of Procyon 5, you come in and you basically have the briefing. Now you've got 6 portals that are in front of the Enterprise J. And they're basically even spaced, but in the front arc. Not a dual beam arc, but 180 degree arc at least. For the first part, you basically destroy all the stuff near your time portal and someone closes the time portal and you just keep moving on. Now, the waves get harder because the timeline shifts and then more enemies come in and you only get 3 waves. Now, the issue is in the first one, at least for the easy queue, you don't have to worry about the Enterprise. You can just stomp through the first ones. No problem. Like you can have 2 people just solely focused on killing everything at like a moderate throttle speed and just continue past everything while the other 3 kind of race around and close portals that are clear. But once you get up to like wave 3, I completely get this, that it's hard to do all this stuff. But you need someone to go back and keep the Enterprise defended at least. Otherwise it's going to get swamped. I've had that happen numerous times. Even with someone defending it, it still gets swamped. And I'm like, what are you doing? Do you not have weapon power? Like, are you completely running shields hot? Shields and engines hot? Because they were like spinning around and doing weird stuff, but when they shot things, it didn't do anything. What? It's sort of like, I don't know. I momentarily thought, are you like a science officer trying to use your science abilities with barely any aux power and like a pilot vessel? Because it was like because they were a tiny little ship and they were spinning around and stuff. That was one time, so I'm not making that a thing. It's just sharing a painful event to watch. I've done it on both my Eternal class and my Anoraks. And both of them, since I'm a science vessel and I like self-sustaining abilities, I can actually heal the Enterprise pretty decently. And I always tell my groups in team chat, I'm going to heal the Enterprise Phase 3. I've been bitched at in Phase 3 for like, what are you doing? I'm like, I said at the beginning I was gonna be protecting the Enterprise. Because the Anoraks, the actual Anoraks, shows up once you clear 3 portals. The Anorak shows up. Now, I have enough burning abilities. I can supercharge myself, and I've burned the Anoraks in like 10 seconds. I'm not a sustained DPS person that would give high numbers on the DPS charts and I'm gonna like jank this thing and look at these numbers. No, I'm not that kind of person, but I can burst the hell out of something pretty effectively. But that's that. I mean, the timeline keeps shifting and you gotta have someone that protects it, but you got to make sure you close the time portals or things keep spawning. And then just like with doing Borg Disconnected, you need to not be taking damage. Periodic damage sucks because you have to wait for it to be gone, especially in Borg Disconnected. It's fairly easy because the only like periodic damage you might ever be taking is a plasma fire from a Borg torpedo, from bioplasma torpedo. That's pretty much the only time you're going to be taking dot damage. If you're not, so you can hazard emitters that off. I've seen gravity wells sometimes show up on this one, so you have some issues, but you need to not be taking damage. That's all I can really say. I haven't had much problems with Procyon 5. It's gone moderately well to terrible. I haven't had anything gone swimmingly yet, but that's basically how you do it. If you are an escort or you are a high DPS person, try not to close portals. Blow the shit out of things, please. Please. I know I've done things on like the Mirror Universe Q invasion thing, and nobody's really followed my advice since on that one. But it's just like, I'm not saying that science vessels close the portals faster. I'm just saying that if you're high DPS, please take out ships before you try to disable yourself to closing a portal. If you're a tank, if you have any semblance of tanking, please throw up your threatening stance and try to pull aggro so that somebody can try to close it. If you are a tank, don't try to close portals. Don't try to close portals because it's sort of like, anyways. Now, moving on to Days of Doom. This one is a wee complicated, and it's not nearly as complicated as it is. I have seen it played once, swimmingly well, back on the 12th. Well done. Like, I was waiting to do the video last week, and I did it, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. I almost talked about it. But since then, it has been crashing and burning. Constant. Lost the starbase once because the Doomsday Machine got to it. What? Oh, guys. So the bad part of this, the fun part of this is you move forward and you kill everything around the station. Guess what? A gravity well and like a destabilizing resonance beam can just wipe out that first wave. Now here's the thing. Everybody wants to be the person. Got a lot of individuals playing in this in random queues. And you gotta think like a team person. One person stays behind. One person, hopefully with high DPS. You can't heal the station and that sucks. But hopefully someone with high DPS, or at least high maneuverability, will help the little waves that are coming in towards the station so it doesn't die, because that's an optional. It's an optional, I get it. But the rest of the 4 fly over to the shipyard and you kill all the things around that. Now, this is where it becomes complicated. And it shouldn't be this complicated. You pick up a warp core and you fly it in front of the Doomsday Machine. There's a blue or orange line, depending on what color my screen decides to show it up that time. But there is definitively like a cloud that shows its moving path. You fly in its path, you drop off your warp core, and you evasive maneuvers, and you get the hell out of there because it does random pulsing firings. Just, it doesn't random, it actually, and you can see when it's pulsing. Stay behind it when it, because it's only a cone effect out front. Then move forward, drop off your warp core, then get out of there, go get another warp. What's really good is if someone stays behind around there and like kind of follows the Doomsday device and like kills all the warp core interceptors. Because they take, they're shitty little, they're not as bad as the repair drones from the VOF, but they're pretty weak. And anybody that has a decent firing power, my Anoraks took them out no problem. And then, and as the thing swallows up a warp core, it blows up and it slows it down a little bit. Slowing it down just allows you to get an optional of don't let it get more than halfway. Also, it helps later at the very end. Now, at the very end, the Dreadnought Warp Core gets made. This is the benefit of slowing it down, because then it doesn't get further away from you, and you don't have to drag the Warp Core that gives you a dot, an increasing dot. Whatever, I just know that it increases the damage you take the longer you're holding on to it. So you have to like, and then drop it, or try to heal yourself in the process, which eventually becomes stupid. I mean, as an engineer, you know, you'll be able to miracle worker some of that off and whatnot, but the dot is unaffected, it seems like, by damage reducing ability. So you can just like, boom, get healed. That's what's that. And you just go to, and if it happens to be close to the station, you're just gonna have to bunny hop it along. You know, if you got smart people, you drop it, then someone else picks it up and you keep going. Also, evasive maneuvers. When you're about to pick up the Dreadnought Warp Core, don't shoot anything. Max your engines, emergency power to engines, whatever you want to do. Make sure you got full power on your engines, pick up that Warp Core, hit evasive maneuvers, and book it. Because the dot only ticks every so often, and the closer you can get to the Doomsday Machine before you have to drop the Warp Core, the better! I personally, with the Anorax, use its console and evasive maneuvers, and I rock it at like 1200% movement speed. I've actually gotten across the map in about 4 seconds. All the way from the starbase to the shipyard. Just get there, and I actually come out and boo! It has a shockwave at the end. So that's that. These instances are not hard. Please be mindful of what the objectives are and don't just spam shooting shit. Yeah, I know, there's gonna be things trying to attack you on the way, to and from dropping off warp cores. I get it. It's a pain in the butt. Do what you can to not get in combat and keep dropping off warp cores. If anything, have one person stay in the air to stop the interceptors, have one person fly around. I mean, if you have a team that you can focus on, have one person fly around and kill all the random stuff that pops up, and then have 2 people shuttling the warp cores back and forth. That's the ideal thing, but you know, whatever. Everyone's like, I gotta shuttle a warp core, I gotta shuttle a warp core, and meanwhile the starbase dying over there. Nobody's actually killing the interceptors, so they're taking away warp cores, and the Doomsday Machine's moving at full speed. Anyways, I have a little bit of angst at these. I played these instances twice last Tuesday, and I was like, oh, these are really simple. These are gonna be learned really fast, and by Friday I was losing faith in humanity. If you have any questions about these instances that I didn't cover, please ask them below. Mind you, I haven't done Advanced, and I haven't done Elite. I don't know the bonus optionals for that one. You know, if you're doing it for your daily, you're already getting like 55 marks to begin with, so no big deal. I'll catch you guys next week. Again, any questions, just put them below. I might answer them next week. I might just answer them if they're a simple question in the comments. All right,